Hello, all right, chapter 4 talked about space and space exploration. So we all know we've only been in this for like 75 years, basically, give or take. That's rough math. It's very interesting just to go through the history of all the failures and all the accomplishments of the space program, how all the other different countries were doing it, as far as like the Russians and the Chinese and the Americans. It started off with mentioning that someone had paid $20 million to go to space, which is an enormous amount of money. I would not pay that for that short experience. I'm sure it was, but it's very interesting that they have commercialized it like that for some countries in order to fund. I thought it was interesting how it talked about the International Space Station and all it does and how it united all these countries into working together on the same place to continue that space science exploration, and seeing if humans can really live in space even. That's even a possibility. I am a big fan of the Hubble telescope personally. I think it's great that we have something out there that's exploring and taking pictures and sending them back to us so we can actually see what's going on in other parts of the universe, because we are very small compared to everything else. Another thing it talked about was satellites and how they don't go back to get the inactive ones, which I thought was interesting. The book estimated that there was over 3,000 active and inactive satellites orbiting the Earth, so I'm sure by now that number is a lot more because of how much we use satellites these days between different cable providers, different telecommunication, satellite radio I'm a big fan of, even things like GPS, and they all use satellites, and I'm sure there's more applications that I haven't mentioned. So it's interesting that they would pollute the orbiting space of the world so much, at least get the ones that aren't working, because all that junk sitting up there I'm sure is not good for our environment. So they might as well go retrieve it, bring it back, maybe recycle it, be a little green. So yeah, overall it's very informative of the world and how we've explored space so far with all of our adventures to the different nearby planets and what we've tried to learn from the sun, because you really can't land there. Yeah, very informative, very interesting. I'm excited to see where we go next with space, because where else is there to go?